A second big lie from the former president. He incited the insurrection at the Capitol by repeating baseless claims that the election was stolen. Now Trump and his allies are trying to convince us that nothing really happened on January 6th. He's trying to gaslight all of us into thinking that we can't believe what we saw with our own eyes that day. He claims the rioters posed zero threat and were hugging and kissing police. Well, this video tells the truth. This is D.C. police officer Michael Fanone. He's being dragged and beaten by a mob of rioters. That's what's really happened right in front of your eyes. There it is. He was tasered several times in the back of the neck, injured on the ground, surrounded by rioters. Here's Officer Fanone describing what happened next.
I mean, I was just, trying to fight as best I could. I remember, guys were stripping me of my gear. These rioters pulling my badge off my chest. They ripped my radio off my vest. Started pulling ammunition magazines from their holder on my belt. And then some guys started getting a hold of my gun, and they were screaming out, kill him with his own gun. I just remember yelling out that I have kids, and it seemed to work. Some people in the crowd started to encircle me and try to offer me some level of protection. A lot of people have asked me, my thoughts on the individuals in the crowd that, that helped me or try to offer some assistance. And I think kind of the conclusion I've come to is thank you, but you for being there.
Well, that doesn't sound like hugging and kissing, does it? Officer Fanone suffered a heart attack and concussion that day. Now he is dealing with a traumatic brain injury and post-traumatic stress disorder. Joining me now is Officer Fanone's mother, Terry Fanone. Miss Terry, thanks for joining. I really appreciate it.
You're so welcome.
Yeah.
So welcome. I am so happy to have an opportunity to speak for a different perspective on what happened that day.
Yeah. Well, we're glad you're here. And as you know, I mean, in full transparency, I've been talking to your son for the past few months. We've become friends. I've learned a lot about his story. He's really a true hero. How are you and your family holding up right now?
That clip, which I hadn't heard in a while, that doesn't even begin to tell the story. It doesn't even begin to tell the story of what our family went through and what he went through that day.
I can't even imagine, but he's so lucky to have you and your family supporting him. But I want you to listen to the former president claiming that the rioters who attacked your son are being persecuted. Here it is.
They go after people that I guess you'd call them lean toward the right, and they wave American flags. In many cases, they're waving the American flag, and they love our country. It was a zero threat. Right from the start, it was zero threat. Look, they went in. They shouldn't have done it. Some of them went in, and they're hugging and kissing the police and the guards. They had great relationships. A lot of the people were waved in, and then they walked in and they walked out.
He said they were hugging and kissing the officers. But listen, he's saying that the rioters were waving flags. But this body camera footage shows them using the flagpoles to beat your son. So what goes through your mind when you hear the former president trying to rewrite history on January 6th saying, oh, there was zero threat?
It was, I respect, that's his opinion. That was his perspective. His perspective was he wasn't there. What goes through my mind is really outrage that not only the 850 MPD officers were there, but officers from different jurisdictions, as well as Capitol Hill Police. It's diminishing. It is devaluing. The thing that is so profound is after he made those statements, the silence that followed, and where was the outrage from other people who were there, from congressmen who were there. And the silence to me implies indifference, and I could be wrong, but indifference or complicity. just completely, or are people just they're so used to hearing this rhetoric they don't even listen anymore. So for us, for our family, and for each and every police officer that I know that Michael's in touch with constantly, it's outrageous. It's so dehumanizing. It's so devaluing, and it's outrageous.
Well,
outrageous.
Ms. Terry, if you could speak directly to the former
for each
president.
one of them.
If you could speak directly to him and his supporters who are pushing these lies about the rioters, what would you say to them?
Where's your courage? Where is your courage? Because I know that there are people out there. I know what I know, and I know the people that have implied and have stated to Michael directly that there's so much more to this story, but so many people are afraid to come out and to speak the truth. The silence is so palpable, and it's just outrageous. For me to say anything to Trump it wouldn't matter, because he just can't hear. It's all the other people that are so complicit in this. That's who I would speak to, is that how dare you take advantage of these people who were defending and fighting for their lives that day to save these people, preserve, democracy, civility, to restore the Capitol to what it's supposed to be. Where are you? With all of these officers stood with you, why don't you stand with them?
The prosecutors have charged Thomas Civic in the brutal assault of your son. He's also accused of stealing Mike's badge and radio, which he finally admitted that he buried in his own backyard. How does Mike feel about it? Because I know he spoke to me. He feels encouraged in knowing that he believes at this point that these rioters are going to be held accountable. Am I correct?
Yes.